Hello and welcome to the Freedym Show, the daily show featuring 10-minute practical, usable advice from amazing lifestyle entrepreneurs. Because it's not just about the money, it's about freedom. I am Ryan Lee. I'm your host, your teacher, your coach, your mentor, and the founder of Freedym.com, the leading online education platform for freedom-minded people just like you. And if you want to get a very special gift, just text the word freedom, that's F-R-E-E-D-Y-M, to the number 33444. Again, that's freedom, F-R-E-E-D-Y-M, to 33444, and you'll get something very special. Now today, we've got a guest on our hot seat, a guy I've known for well over a decade. We both started together in the fitness industry. When you look up the word entrepreneur in the dictionary, you will find his face. John Spencer Ellis has done it all in the fitness industry. Everything from certifications to workshops to masterminds to books to ebooks to movies to modeling. You name it, he has done it. If you want to learn more about John and what he offers, just go to johnspencerellis.com. That's all one word, johnspencerellis.com. John, are you ready?
I am. Let's go, baby.
All right, man. As you know, we got 10 minutes. There's no fluff. There's no stories. We jump right to the meat. You are a serial entrepreneur, and something we've talked about offline is one of the secrets to your success is what collaborating with people with complementary talents. Let's dive right in. Give me your thoughts on that.
You can't do it all. You don't know it all. No matter what you want to accomplish, it's just, truly time-wise is an impossibility and simply not wise to think that you have all the answers. So what I have learned over time is that my skill set, although it may appear broad from an external perspective, is actually fairly narrow. I know what I know, and I definitely know what I don't know, and even more so, I know what I don't care to do because I know what makes me happy. Whew. So, because of that...
I was going to quote you and repeat it, but I would totally mess
it up. There's
no
way I can do that and make it smooth, so forget it. So I have, I guess, I guess Jim Quick, our mutual friend, says, what's your superpower? And you asked me that offline, and it is finding or having the ability to find out people and situations and skill sets which are complementary. So, and I heard Eben Pagan say this, and Eben's obviously a really smart, successful guy, and he was being interviewed on another podcast, and he said, you need someone who covers your blind spot. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's such a great metaphor, because if you think about it, if you're driving and you have someone's shotgun or vice versa, there's always a blind spot in a car, and it's dangerous, right? You can crash hard, and that's a metaphor for life and business. And so if you have someone who is next to you who can see around that blind spot, the blind spot is removed and you have a 360 perspective on all the things that you need to do to where you don't goof up, you make fewer mistakes, and if you do make a mistake, you recover faster and you can get to market faster, and hopefully you enjoy that lifestyle that we're all seeking.
So there's really two issues. There's figuring out what your blind spot is, and then finding someone to kind of help you out. Give me one piece of advice for each of these. Let's start with how do you find out what your blind spot is?
Being honest with yourself. That's because a lot of us live in that land of illusion. There's kind of a willful blindness, because we don't know what we don't know. That's kind of the first stage of learning. We don't know what we don't know. Then we learn what we don't know. And then it's just a willingness to decide if we're going to do something about what we don't know. The toughest part for the entrepreneur is relinquishment of a power or the perception of power because they first have to acknowledge that they don't have all the answers. And for us self-directed, self-motivated entrepreneurs, that's incredibly challenging, and at first it can seem self-defeating, but once you embrace it, it is the most liberating, awesome thing in the world. You and I have said this many times. It's important to be the dumbest person in the room, and you don't try to out-stupid each other. You just raise your game. And when you surround yourself with people like that in a room, it becomes painfully and quickly apparent that you don't have all the answers. So one of the ways to find out that you don't have all the answers is join a mastermind group or surround yourself with people who are obviously more intelligent, more successful, more wealthy, more worldly, more experienced, more well-resourced than you. And when you do that, your blind spots are going to pop up all over the place. You like the sound effects? That was cool.
You know, I don't even need to add in sound effects. We could have done like a cool.
Okay, don't do anything in post. I'm going to save you time in post.
Yeah, no, don't, believe me, I do as little editing as possible. As
so
you can tell.
it's important to know what your blind spots are. Be honest with yourself. Most people, if they fail, it's because they lie to themselves, because they live in a land of illusion of what they want to be instead of what they currently are, and then they never get to the point where they truly want to be.
So let's assume we found a blind spot. So let's throw one out there. Give me like a common blind spot you've seen with people in your mastermind groups or people you've coached.
Facebook marketing.
Okay, Facebook traffic. So their blind spot is, man, I don't know how to do the ads. I don't know how to do retargeting, all this stuff. So then let's say someone listening to this, that's their blind spot. They have a great product, they have a great sales letter, they know what to do, but they're not good with the Facebook marketing. Where do we go to find this person to complement our talents?
Well, aside from Ryan Lee, of course, you know, the big thing is don't rely on just one person, don't rely on just one opinion, and don't rely on just one advertisement of someone saying they're awesome. Mm-hmm. So I try to go with what, you know, who do I trust? Who do I know makes good decisions? Who do I know researches everything before they act? And then find a lot of those people. What are they all saying without being an affiliate of this other person, right?
Right.
So there's bias. What are they all saying over time? So you can't just jump. It's kind of like when someone goes, oh, I need a dermatologist, so I'm going to look in the yellow pages real quick because I need someone really fast that my insurance accepts. Mm-hmm. Well, yellow pages, that says something right there. Right. But
I didn't know you're 80 years old.
That's a good idea. You're living in the past.
Yes. Yeah, you probably don't want to go to yellow pages. Okay, so collaborating. What are any real best practices in terms of now reaching out, connecting with these people? Do you say, okay, let's start on a short-term, project-by-project basis? You know, take us from there.
Oh well, anytime I collaborate, at least for me, you guys, there's 100 ways to collaborate, and here's a shameless pitch for my book, collaborationeconomy.com, because it explains all the different ways to do it. So basically, my method is don't give up equity in anything. I maintain equity in all my business ventures and all my corporations, but I create a separate joint collaboration, joint development. I believe my attorney calls it a joint development agreement. So the person who comes in, who covers my blind spot, who has a specific skill set, they maintain the proprietary rights to what they bring in. I retain the proprietary rights to what I bring in, but collectively together we co-own, co-author, co-benefit, co-share the royalties from our collaborative effort, which has a name and is an entity and has, a structure, and what's really important is a framework to it. And then that framework is what we share collectively.
All right, that's a great strategy, because a mistake I see all the time is people, they're so anxious to get started. John, you'd be shocked how many people have said this. They said, I'm starting up a new membership site, and I have a partner. I'm saying, who's your partner? Well, it's my techie, and it's 50-50. I'm like, what? Why would you do that? It happens all the time. And there's a great book by Felix Dennis, I think it's called Get Rich or something like that, where he says, never, ever, ever, ever give up equity in your business. And it sounds like you kind of agree with that philosophy.
Well, because here's the thing. I mean, when we started Adventure Boot Camp, 12, 13 years ago, the people who would do a partnership, with the exception of a husband and wife, those seem to work out, but people come together and they do this, and those people had the worst challenges because they didn't have complementary skill sets.
Right.
They wouldn't do the correct agreement. People did a failure to perform on the tasks that they said they would do, and they didn't have clearly defined roles, or they didn't follow through with their clearly defined roles. So I personally never recommend that, because I've just found it for me and others to be a pain. But you keep your stuff, like let's just say you and I are going to do a collaboration. And I know what your skill sets are. You know what mine are roughly, although we would definitely go over that and ensure. And then there's an agreement, this joint development agreement, which says, here's your expectations, here's the timeline for the expectations, and also what's important, Ryan, is what are the expectations for maintenance of the joint venture, ongoing maintenance. So when I collaborate with experts for our certification programs, that part of their agreement is that they have to make themselves reasonably available during, business hours for the duration of the agreement to keep the program current and relevant. And that's just part of the deal, and you have to include that in the agreement.
Yeah, I think that's very smart and very wise. And I appreciate you coming on here and sharing this, John, because it's a little bit different of advice than we get all the time.
Cool.
A lot of the podcast stuff, it's specific about creating products or marketing, but this is kind of a bigger overview of what it really takes to succeed, and it shows
structure.
And you're a guy who's been in the trenches for decades building out really successful businesses. So I hope everyone listening to this enjoyed this with John. If you want to learn more, again, johnspencerellis.com. And what's the book URL, John?
Collaborationeconomy.com.
Collaboration Economy. So check that out. So, John, I appreciate you coming on here, sharing your wisdom with the world. The world is listening to you, John. So keep up the awesome work. This is Ryan Lee. I'm going to be signing off. As always, I'm going to see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. If you enjoyed this, please go to iTunes and rate us and give comments. I appreciate it. It helps us grow, and it's something I really appreciate. So as always, stay tuned. More coming tomorrow. Have an amazing day. Take care, and bye-bye.